7:45. We will go ahead and get started. Welcome to the April meeting of Joining Forces. And looks like we've got a pretty good turnout here. We've got about 15 Joining Forces members in Washington, D.C. today. And I'm going to put Marissa McCarter on the spot just a bit. Marissa's my assistant, and she's in Washington, D.C. with the Governor's Challenge. And Marissa, do you want to just mention just how that's going and some of the things that you guys have talked about while you're there in Washington, D.C.?
It's been going great. We have a lot of organizations here. Just want to make sure everybody can hear me okay.
Yep.
Yay. Okay. It has been a lot of information. We've had everybody from the White House speaking, the VA, DOD, CDC. We've received a lot of information just, in the past couple days. So for those who don't know, we're here for the SAMHSA and VA Governor's Challenge to prevent suicide among service members, veterans, and their family. It is a policy academy. I don't know if I said this, it's a lot like drinking from the fire hose. It's a lot of information, but we have a lot of good people here gathering up all that information, and we're going to be excited to bring it back to Idaho and apply some of what we've learned here.
Great. We've got representatives from the Idaho National Guard, Mission 43, St. Luke's, Health and Welfare, bunch of different organizations, Boise Rescue Mission, VFW, American Legion, all from Idaho with this contingent with Marissa and things. So a lot of the things that they're talking about with other states, Idaho's already implemented a lot of things just as a natural progression with what we do and our connectedness with the different organizations. So that's kind of exciting. I think when you get into a big group like that, and you always hear how far behind Idaho is on suicide prevention and mental health, but boots on the ground, we are further ahead than most states, just because we take it personally. Each of us are doing our part. So did you want to say anything else, Marissa?
I did. Actually, one of the big things that people were pointing out were networking and organizations working together. And a few pointed out, oh, we get together quarterly and we have organizations speak, and we have certain, veteran support organizations talk about their services. And I'm like, wow, well, we do that like once a month. We got Joining Forces, and people were really impressed with that. So when we were going through our strengths, that was definitely a big strength. So I'm really, really appreciating all of you being here and all the organizations. The only one I didn't hear mentioned is Chaplains of Idaho. I've learned a lot about the state of Idaho and the different organizations we have across the entire state. So this has been a great experience. So I'm excited to get all this information out of my head, get it on paper, and share it with you in the near future.
That's great. Well, thank you for taking my place on that trip. Sounds like you've done a great job. I appreciate it. Okay, our first presentation today is going to be with Dan Nelson, Mission 43, and Matt Feldhaus with the Headstrong Project. And Dan, can you tell us about the Headstrong Project and how Mission 43 got involved in bringing it to Idaho?
Yeah, I think I'll let Matt probably do most of the talking about the actual Headstrong Project and what they're bringing to Idaho as far as their services. But as far as Mission 43, like we started in 2019, actually, this Operation Resilient Path program, which is a part of Mission 43 that helps veterans and first responders with substance use disorder, traumatic brain injury, and PTSD type issues. And usually it's a combination of all those. In the past few years, we've gathered a couple of partners, not just in the state. Warrior's Heart down in Texas, the premier substance abuse facility that's only open to first responders and military affiliated people. Marcus Institute for Brain Health, the Avalon Network for Traumatic Brain Injury, and a couple others as well. But we brought on Headstrong because of their amazing work they've done nationally. And as of January, Matt and Headstrong has been breaking into Idaho here. Specifically, they're bringing free resources for any veteran or military affiliated family member that is in Idaho. So it's not a Mission 43 thing. Like we invested heavily into Headstrong to bring them here. But we hope that all the organizations, if you have a veteran that is not happy with their mental health care, and I know there's a lot of good folks on the call that provide awesome services, but maybe they're in some place where there's not access to an awesome, like, military cultural competent provider. Maybe they're in rural Idaho or something, or maybe the spouse is needing trouble or needing help when the veteran is actually having or in treatment as well. Like, that's the type of thing that Headstrong can do. They can do it virtually, and they can also create a network of, like, vetted, trained providers here in the state of Idaho and elsewhere that they can get licensed here in Idaho. But I'll let Matt take it from here.
Well, and before I introduce Matt, I just want to say Marissa and I were on a call with Matt, and we thought we'd take 15-20 minutes and talk to him, and we ended up talking to him for over an hour. We're very, very excited about the Headstrong project, and so we'll take it from there. Matt Feldhaus.
Yeah, thanks, Dan, for the introduction and kind of overview of the historical, how it came about. And Mitzi, Marissa, thanks for giving me the opportunity. Want to start with just an introduction of who I am. I'm born and raised in Cincinnati, Ohio, and I did 6 years in the Army National Guard. So this is near and dear to my heart for that reason. I'm a service member myself, or I'm a veteran myself. And during my transition out, I was in military intelligence, which, they tell you when you're that, if you have a top secret clearance, you speak Arabic, like, hey, the world's your oyster. You're going to get jobs the second you get out. But I found in 2012 that that's not the case. Mainly because my unit never deployed, and that, was kind of held against me, I feel. But I struggled. And when I had mental health issues and kind of these esteem issues, I reached out and found out I didn't qualify for benefits. Now, this was 2012, but it sucked. When you finally decide to suck in your ego and go look for help, and you're told no, you can give up. And I kind of just was like, you know what, fine, I'll figure it out myself. Second, there's a history of mental health in my family. My mother was bipolar. So I grew up firsthand seeing the effects of great mental health treatment and not so great. And often in Western medicine, it's a lot of pharmaceuticals, like, hey, take this pill, it'll make you happy. Well, now you took that pill and, the effects of that, so now take this pill. And there's just this effect where, by the round, you're taking 10 different pills that have all these different effects. So what I'm excited about to share with Headstrong Project is it's all evidence-based treatment modalities, and it's trauma-informed care. So I'm not a clinician myself, so I'm going to do my best to keep it, kind of high level. If you have more detailed questions, I will gladly connect you with our regional clinical director. Her name's Catherine. She's a clinician herself, and she can talk to you more in depth, but I'll do my best to provide an overview. So Headstrong's been around for about a decade now, and what we do is try and eliminate the big barrier for service members is access to quality care. So access, everything can be done via our website. So there's just a link on there that says get connected to care. You put in a little bit of information, and then bam, within 24 to 48 business hours, you will get an email response connecting you to our intake team. So if you're talking to someone, make sure to tell them, like, hey, check your junk box, because often that first email will go into their junk box. Then they're going to talk to one of our intake care coordinators who in our Western region, they all have military cultural competency and they're clinicians themselves. So these aren't going to be interns or volunteers that don't really know the military. One of them is actually a captain in the Army Reserves herself. So, and then that's going to get you, that's the first step to get into our program. What we focus on is trauma. So that can be MST, PTSD. It doesn't have to be combat trauma and things like that. It can be adverse childhood events. that were triggered by the military, but our clinicians are specialized to deal with trauma. So TBI, PTSD, and I believe I sent Dan, Mitzi, and Marissa a sheet that really goes down and says, and so if they could share that out, not right this minute, but that really goes through all the different things that are like the right fit client. Because the thing we would hate to do is you send someone our way and they weren't really the right fit. Because our clinical team views, their clinicians as like surgeons. They're highly specialized to deal with trauma. So if someone's like generally depressed because of like, kind of like how I was, that I was just like esteemed, sorry if a call just came in, so I don't know if it took me off or anything, but so like if it's general depression, anxiety, just mood disorder or something, like that's not the right fit. The other thing that wouldn't be the right fit that I just know isn't is if they're actively suicidal. We're not set up to be a crisis network or anything like that. So, someone that would be ready to go through therapy, the average number of sessions that our clients go through is, I think it's 25 sessions. So, these care modalities, they're getting a lot of quality care. And so they're really got to be ready to unpack that deep mental trauma. So if someone's in crisis, like that's, there's better services for that. The other aspect is if they're currently experiencing homelessness, because again, they got to be ready to unpack this like deep trauma. If someone's worried about where they're sleeping, where they're eating, shelter, etc., they're not ready to go to these higher levels if we're thinking of like Maslow's hierarchy of needs. So I just wanted to set those expectations in the beginning, because I would hate for you to send us a client that might not be the right fit. The other aspect is when I talked about, or Dan mentioned, like quality care. So all of our clinicians are state licensed. They all utilize at least one evidence-based treatment modality. So those are things like EMDR, prolonged exposure, CPT, that have been like scientifically proven to have benefits for healing and things like this through PTSD and TBI and things like that. So, it's not going to be some like not proven method of healing. Let's see, where else can I go for that? Oh, and they all have military cultural competency. So we take that very serious. We don't send anyone to, a grad student or an intern at a mental health institution. These are people that have their own private practice. Most of them have practiced for 10, 15 years. So, these are really quality clinicians, and that really speaks to their specialty and why, like, we really focus on who's the right fit for us, because we're not meant to replace. Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry, Matt. I just wanted to add something on that. Like, one of the things that I think is super incredible about Headstrong is that he keeps hitting on the military cultural competency, but like, what does that really mean? And for my experience, like when I got home and was dealing with trauma not well, when I went to, random clinicians, both at military affiliated places and civilian places, I felt like a sideshow. They're like, oh, the man made you do war stuff? Like, oh, tell me the story. Like I could tell they were like more interested in meeting someone with that experience than they were treating it. And that was hard for me to take. And the other thing, Matt, that I just add for you too, is that Headstrong is unique because they don't care about the classification of discharge. So, you had some serious pipe hitters in the men and women that served our country here that have been through crazy trauma of all different types. It doesn't have to just be combat, that, may have got themselves in trouble because guess what? Mental health leads to bad decisions, or poor mental health leads to bad decisions. So they get a bad conduct discharge or dishonorable discharge that makes them ineligible for some care, but not with Headstrong. They don't care. Anyway, that's all I want to add, Matt.
Yeah, Dan. No, that's great. I definitely want to hit upon that, and I'll highlight that as well. That is on the sheet that I had mentioned. Dan or Mitzi and Marissa could send out, where we talk about access to care. So we don't care about discharge status, combat exposure, service era, whether you're a veteran, active duty, or National Guard or reservist. None of that matters. The big thing is the trauma, though. Like, it does need to be you know, something trauma, not general depression. The one point, and the thing that is a little bit harder to talk about is when it's the military spouse. So because we were set up to really focus on the veteran and the service member themselves, we have a little bit more requirements when it is the military spouse. And one of our clinical director could talk more about it in detail, but my understanding is that if, let's just imagine I have a spouse and I'm the service member, if she is seeking treatment for whatever it is, like, hey, my PTSD is causing anger management issues, which are causing, you know, a strife in the relationship, I myself as a service member would need to be being actively seen as a client at Headstrong for them to see the spouse. And that's, from my understanding, because it would result in better like conflict resolution or like overall better quality of care. I know I didn't say that or articulate it great. I'm not a clinician myself, so forgive me. But that is the requirement under my understanding. Now I know with like Gold Star families, we do make exceptions for that. We take that very serious as well. But again, if you have any further questions, I put in my email. I apologize. I'm probably, if you email me like a clinical question, I will route that to our clinical team, but I'll CC you and give, hey, I presented at this. I'll make sure it's a warm handoff. And to touch upon the military cultural competency, we actually have veterans meet with our clinicians. That's the first gatekeeper step to get it. Well, actually, they apply online. So by the way, if you know any qualified clinicians in Idaho that are state licensed, that are military cultural competent, that have their private practice, send them to the website. There's also there that says like join our team, because we're actively recruiting clinicians. They meet with me actually. I'm a veteran. I get that kind of first vibe check. And yeah, we see their resume and we make sure that they've actually served. Like no one that's never worked with veterans or service members, we're not going to bring them on our team. You know, most of the people have worked 10 years at the VA or 10 years on base or something like that. So yeah, that proves probably that they have it, but first we talk. And I was an interrogator, and that came up one time in an interview where this guy had all the credentials. He had like awards and stuff. And the guy asked me, oh, so how many people do you waterboard? And I'm sorry, like, you know, that's not a funny question. We're in an interview and you think that's an appropriate question. If I was a sniper, would you have asked me a question about how many people I killed? So that was a red flag, and he didn't make it through. So like we really make sure we have every clinician that goes through talks to a veteran, and we make sure that they know how to talk to veterans and service members. So that's another aspect to that, like military cultural competent. Typically we can get them. So last fine details, just wanted to get that to finish. Typically we can get them connected to care in about 2 to 3 weeks. So the other reason in certain communities, we've been a really good complement to either the VA or vet centers is that sometimes they know that they're very backed up. The WDVA, the Washington Department of Veterans Services in Seattle, they had an 8-month delay. So if they had someone that was really like at risk and, you know, trauma, they'd pass them on to us because we could get them seen in about 2 to 3 weeks. Now that depends on their response time, because I mentioned we'll send them out an email. If they take 2 weeks to respond to the email, okay, well, you know, that's not really on us. But on average, nationally, it's about 2 to 3 weeks that we can get them connected from the day that they reach out. We also do our best to try, if there's any like DEI initiatives that they want to, hey, I want, you know, I'm LGBTQ, I'd like someone a clinician that has experience with that. We'll do our best to match. Or if I'm a person of color, we'll do our best to match if that's something that they request. The only last detail is about, so when Dan mentioned 100% cost-free, he's correct for 30 sessions. So 30 sessions, they will get 100% cost-free. They don't need to worry about insurance. We never even ask for that. After that 30th session, there's a $40 copay that the clinician is responsible for getting. So some clinicians have actually waived it. They said, you know what? I'm good. You know, Headstrong's paying me 90% of the thing, or, you know, whatever, 90, 80, I don't know the exact percentages, but I'll waive the rest. And we reimburse at a pretty competitive rate to make sure that we're getting the best of the best clinicians. And on average, our clients are seeing 25 sessions. So that's national average. So we're even throwing on there like an extra 5 sessions just in case. So 30 sessions. I hope I did an adequate job covering an overview. Mitzi or Dan, if I missed anything that you remember being like, oh yeah, this is relevant, you said this on our talk, let me know. I'll add that in there. But everyone else, it was very nice meeting you. I have my email in there too, so please feel free to reach out. And I'm trying to plan a visit with Dan in maybe mid-May. And he mentioned you guys have, yeah, for sure. I just saw that message pop up. I'll make sure to get that number down. But yeah, Dan, hopefully like some event you talked about, there's a lot of events. I'd love to come out, have a beer with you, coffee, whatever, meet face to face. I'm a big proponent. You can't take out the human element of social services. So virtual is great, but I love to meet you in person. And thank you for everything that you do. I know this is heavy work for a lot of us. So I appreciate everyone.
Well, and you know, I haven't kept this a secret at all. I've mentioned it several times throughout joining forces over the years, but I see a counselor regularly. I had a very traumatic incident about 6 years ago, and you know, I still see someone monthly. It's something, you know, we go to the dentist for our 6-month checkup, and we do other things. Mental health is the same exact thing. We need to take care of our mental health just like we do our dental health, our physical health, that sort of thing. Now, that being said, it can be, let's see, somebody doesn't have their thing on mute. So, that being said, it can be very difficult once you make that decision to seek out counseling to find somebody that's the right fit. You know, I think we can all agree that you can sit down in a room full of people and hit it off with some people, and other people, you know, you can't get away from them fast enough. No matter how qualified a clinician is, you've got that same type of relationship. So with Headstrong, they're cutting out half the battle already. You know, they're going to have people that can relate to veterans and the trauma that veterans have gone through, whether they've been deployed or not. I think Matt is a very good example of someone who's not deployed, but, you know, has experienced that trauma and things. So I encourage everybody to seek this out. Dan, did you have anything else you wanted to add about Headstrong?
I just shared the website URL in the chat.
Thanks,
but I
Dan.
hope you guys take a chance to take a moment to look at that and look at their actual numbers, because I mean, I know numbers aren't everything, but their ability to track the progress of these people that go through their programs is phenomenal. And that's why we know they're the right group to bring in here to Idaho to help out. Yeah, I think, you know, we have a lot of partners that we're specific to Mission 43 and people that go through our ORP program. Headstrong, I'm really happy to say, is not specific to Mission 43. I hope every organization on this like takes advantage, and if they have somebody that's struggling with trauma, that they use this totally free resource to do it. But the last thing is like the 30 treatment cap type thing. Like, I don't think, if you look at their numbers, I don't think that is a constraint at all. I think most of the people, their clinicians, I know for a fact, are intent on getting people in to get over that trauma, to be functional again as best possible. So I think it's a really unique model and something that I'm just really excited is finally coming here. But like Matt said, if you know any clinicians that are legit, please have them look at this as well.
Yeah,
And-
Dan, can I add just?
Go ahead, Matt.
Yeah, the one aspect, and again, I'm not a clinician, so I can't speak on for a lot of detail about this, but I believe the successful completion of EMDR and CPT and things like that are like 12 and 16 sessions. So, you know, you should seek the benefit from using these modalities in enough time of our sessions, and then even have some after that for, you know, like 3 months down the road, you go to an event that kind of triggers you and you need to kind of get a little bit of a refresh. There's still that buffer. But in most of these, like, again, evidence-based treatment modalities, the number of sessions are set well before the you know, the where you would have to start needing to pay for it or anything like that. So.
Well, in all reality too, $40 as a copay for a session with a mental health counselor is nothing. So, you know, even if you get to that point and want to continue seeing them, that's still a great deal. Along those lines, I've talked to several, there are several people on the call here from the vet center, from the VA, counselors themselves, and I've gotten overall positive feedback from everybody, because I think what we all realize is there aren't enough good counselors with the experience that veterans need out there. And as I mentioned, it takes a long time for anybody, no matter what your circumstances are, to decide that you want to seek out counseling, and then to get to the point where you're finally willing to sit in a room with somebody or online with somebody, and then have them not be the right fit. A lot of people just quit right there. Dan, did you want to add something there?
Yeah, I'm sorry, I'm talking too much. I just wanted to
No?
say, if since Matt is not physically here in Idaho, even though he's going to be visiting quite a bit, I would ask for the group's help in connecting him specifically with the guard units, because I know there's some people on the call that are there. But we know, like, the 116th is deployed right now. They're all going to come back here in the next 6 months or so, whether it's them or their family members or whatever, or both, like Matt was talking about. I mean, there's going to be issues, right? No matter what type of deployment it is, there's going to be issues. And Matt has not been, or not had a lot of luck so far in really connecting with the mental health providers that are immediately on, you know, Gowen Field, in the armories and Post Falls and Lewiston and all those places. So please, if you have those connections, reach out.
Okay, we'll definitely get you connected. Did anybody else have any questions?
See, I had a question. Have you and Matt talked about registering Headstrong in the Idaho Veterans Guide?
We will make sure that they come up as a resource. And for those, everybody should know by now, but we have an electronic guide for all of our resources. It's www.idahoveteransguide.org. And all that comes up is a screen where you type in your zip code, and it will come up with resources in various categories and things. We'll make sure that Headstrong is one of those resources that come up. Let's see, questions in the chats are going pretty fast here. If anybody wants to just jump on and ask their question, that'll be just fine.
I just wanted to say bye real fast. I have to get back to the academy, but I also wanted to say this really ties into what we're doing here as well. Working with the VA and working with these organizations to make sure veterans don't fall between the cracks. So I really thank you all for being here, and I'll see you at the next one.
Sounds great. And just along those lines, Marissa's jumping off, but I know that she doesn't mind me mentioning this because she's been very open about it too. But it took Marissa 14 years to seek out assistance. And she's not alone in the amount of time that, you know, it took her to step up and look for help and go through the system. And then once you get into the VA system, file for benefits and things, you've got that time that you need to wait. And sometimes it's months. And again, when you finally You want to speak to that at all, Marissa? I know you need to jump off.
Yeah, no, that's kind of the whole thing is what do we do? Our big push here is ask the question. We want to find out who is a veteran and let them know that we care they're a veteran. And if they want any additional information, what do we do? So we're creating steps. Ask the question, we find out they're a veteran. What do we do next? Well, we get them to resources. Okay, well, what do we do with that? You know, we get them to their benefits. What do we do while they're waiting? So this is all, I'm just really thankful because this is all encompassing. We're filling in all the gaps of these veteran support systems, and hopefully we're going to see a big difference. Mitzi, you know that I love to quantify things. I love to add data and statistics to things. So we're really going to be able to track that. That's part of what this is tracking our progress and making a difference. So yeah, I'm here to help other veterans and I'm not alone. There's a lot of people here right now that have the same story as me. I don't know what it is about the VA. It can be intimidating, but Mission 43, you know, you're making things approachable, but you're working with the VA and making those connections. So I really appreciate all of it, and it's good things. So I'll get back to it, let you guys get back to your meeting, and I'll see you at the next one.
Okay, thank you very much. Okay, I'll send out information on Headstrong, and we thank Mission 43 for bringing them to Idaho, helping fund this so that it is a free resource in our state. And we look forward to it expanding and everyone getting the mental health help that they need. So thanks, Matt. Okay, moving on.
You're welcome.
We have Lieutenant Colonel Tony Vincelli from the Idaho National Guard with us, and he is going to talk about Gowen Thunder, which is coming in August. Lieutenant Colonel.
Good morning. Thank you, Mitzi. Good morning, everybody. It's a pleasure being with you here, and Matt, I really enjoyed your.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
Second here, you are on mute, Matt, or Lieutenant Colonel.
Oh, there I am. Sorry, I thought I
There.
had unmuted myself. Okay, can you guys see my screen okay?
Yep.
Yes, sir.
All right, fantastic. Okay, so as Mitzi said, my name is Lieutenant Colonel Tony Vincelli. I'm the event director for Gowen Thunder. When I'm not doing this, the past several years, I've been the director of plans and training for the joint staff for the Idaho National Guard. So I work a lot. I'm an Air Force officer. I wear an Air Force uniform, but over the last decade or more, I've worked almost exclusively with the Army. So I kind of speak that joint language a little bit more than some in the Air Guard do, certainly. And my partner in crime is on the phone. Her name is Jessica Bates. She is the director of our Morale, Welfare, and Recreation program out here at the Guard. She's also the coordinator for the air show, and then she's running all of the sponsorships through our 501c nonprofit, which we absolutely need to have in order to accept private money to help support this air show. And I'll kind of talk about some of that stuff. But first of all, what is Gowen Thunder? Gowen Thunder is really a joint open house and air show that we're presenting in coordination with the MWR program. It's important for General Garshak and General Donnellan and General Schwartz that we not only host this event to show off some of the great things that we're doing out here at Gowen Field, but also just to thank the community for really their unwavering support over the last decades and decades since the Guard's been in Boise. It's really, you hear the term air show and you think, okay, this must be an Air Force thing. I stepped on board with this because of my familiarity with the Army and knowing General Garshak and how important it was for him to show off all sides of the military. And that includes our Navy and Marine partners here on Gowen Field. Paul, I did see that you're from the Navy Reserve Center. I would like to connect with you at some point, and maybe you can help me get some Marine and Navy involvement in the air show as well, because we'd absolutely love to have you. Our mission and vision is really threefold. It's number one, to host a really unique, family-friendly, free community event here in the Treasure Valley. I feel like there is so much patriotism and love of aviation in the military in this area. And the air show gives us an opportunity for us to all come together and share in that. So that's number one, my primary focus. Number two, obviously, we want to celebrate the achievements of the military, recognize all that they do for our country, both past, present, and into the future, and also celebrate our love of aviation as well. And then again, to inspire patriotism and ignite the imagination of the next generation. Really, air shows, the reason why we have them, the reason why open houses are a big thing in the military is obviously it's a recruiting platform for us. Maybe not immediately, but down the line, as these kids who grew up seeing air shows, they can start to picture themselves maybe wearing the uniform. And that's what we want to certainly foster, that type of environment where they can begin to see that for themselves as a possibility. We did our first real air show back in 2017, and it was hugely successful. Although I did hear from a lot of people that they didn't even know that we were doing an air show until after the fact. So our hope this time is that it becomes part of the conversation here in the local area, and people everybody knows that it's happening. Whether they attend or not is another thing, but hopefully they'll all know that Gowen Field's hosting a big event on the 26th and 27th of August. We did have over 125,000 attendees. A lot of people really raved about how well it went, including the parking and the traffic, which you would think would be kind of a nightmare getting in and out of Gowen Field, but we've got a pretty good plan, and our same planner from the 2017 show, thank God, is back on board with us again this year to help make sure that goes as smoothly as it did back then. We planned to do one in 2021, but obviously COVID hit, and it kind of delayed us a bit. So we're here in 23, and then our plan will be to do this here in Boise every 4 years. We'll do another one in 27, and Mountain Home will do theirs in 2025 and 2029. So basically every couple of years there will be an air show in this area, and that's the vision. Jessica and I want to make it every 2 years in Boise, but we've got to get the leadership on board with that. So baby steps here to start. We're expecting over 150,000 people. You can see some of that demographic information there. We did do a study with the Boise Convention and Visitors Bureau, and they estimated the economic impact of the state at almost $5 million for one weekend, which is pretty incredible. So we're very excited about that. We're excited to help this be a whole of community event that can help a lot of people, not just the Idaho National Guard. All right, this is going to be just showing you this just for GPS. But basically, if you know Gowen Field, on the east end of our airfield is our helicopter pad, and that is the ground aircraft display area that you see here. And then we have a smaller pad off to the east, and that kind of points right towards Show Center. And that's where all of our sponsor booths and their tents and the VIP seating and things like that will all be situated kind of that east end. But the show itself is free to the public to come in. People can purchase tickets. We're going to start selling tickets to the air show early next month, and we will get out the word through our social media and through our website when those tickets go on sale. But right around the 1st of May is our target date to start selling tickets. As you can see, we're prepared to accommodate a lot of people. 30,000 vehicles we can park, and we get about 2.5 people per vehicle. So that's somewhere on the order of 75,000 a day that we can accommodate out at Gowen Field. So we're very, very excited about all that. The Thunderbirds are coming back, so that's awesome. Everybody loves the Thunderbirds. We've also got the Army Golden Knights parachute team this time around, F-35 demo team from Hill Air Force Base. The Guard will be doing a combined arms demonstration with the A-10s and the tanks, and so that's going to be really awesome. And then we'll do our heritage flight where we showcase the P-51 all the way through up to our current aircraft. We're going to have a bunch of civilian performers as well. We're even going to have an amazing Top Gun experience, which is a Tom Cruise and Val Kilmer lookalike team that they're going to be walking around the ramp, signing autographs, taking photos with people. The kids and I think the adults too will probably get a big kick out of that. So It's going to be a lot of fun. We're going to do a STEM Expo Center for science, technology, engineering, and math displays and exhibits. We've got a star-based program here on base. I don't know if you're all familiar with it, but it's a STEM education program for fifth graders. It's Title I schools that come out here and do STEM education curriculum throughout the year in addition to their normal curriculum. They get bussed out here. Well, anyway, the director of that star-based program is running our STEM Expo Center this time around. So I think with her contacts and just her experience in that STEM field, it's really going to be a highlight of the show. So we're very, very excited about that as well. Obviously, doing this is not free. It takes quite a bit of money. All of the things from paying for the performers to come in, to the fuel that they're going to fly, to their hotel rooms, rental cars, all of the food and everything that we're going to have out there. So our budget's right around $750,000. We get a portion of that paid for by appropriated funds through the Air and the Army, but the majority comes through private donors, ticket sales, and vendor sales as well. Sponsors are going to be able to really have front row seating to the show, be able to invite their guests out, kind of a premium catered thing with private restrooms, the whole 9 yards, private parking right next to the show gates and all that kind of stuff. So sponsors really enjoy the experience, we think. Bottom line is supporting the air show, supporting the open houses, is supporting the Guard. The Guard is the 4th largest employer in the state. We have a huge economic impact, as you can see. So we want to keep that in the forefront, that make sure that people know how important the Idaho National Guard is to not only our country in terms of our federal mission and defending our freedoms, but also to the state's economy as well. All right. Always there's a call to action in any briefing that you got to give, right? So this is the call to action. There's a number of ways that people can help out. Obviously, not everybody's in a position to sponsor. Some are. And sponsorship takes on many different forms. It could be, being a big title sponsor, although we just did get our title sponsor yesterday, and I'll talk about that here in a second. But it can also be just setting up a vendor booth out on the tarmac. A lot of folks on this call, you have a direct nexus to veterans and their families. You have great information to share. We want you to be able to come out to this event, set up a booth, and share the information that you've got. And we've got discounted pricing for our nonprofit and veteran affiliated organizations out there to make sure that it's a very, very low cost situation to get you out there and get you involved in the show. Okay. Obviously, we want you to spread the word about Gowen Thunder through your own social networking tools. We use Facebook and Instagram for our accounts. Certainly seek us out on those platforms and start following us there, and we'll start adding more and more content, and you can share that out with your networks as well. We'd love for you to volunteer. Again, premium parking for volunteers. That's always a good thing. And you can come out and enjoy the show and help us make this a first-class event that the whole community could be proud of. And obviously, if you can't do any of those things, then just come out and just be part of the experience with us. Okay. I just wanted to highlight some of our sponsors that we've got on board so far. As I mentioned, Jessica was able to secure our title sponsorship yesterday. So kudos to her and CapEd Credit Union. They're on board as our title sponsor this year. We did not have a title sponsor in 2017, and that is absolutely going to be a game changer for us in terms of meeting our financial goals. It's not really about making money, but we do have to pay the bills, and the title sponsor is certainly going to help us do that. And then all those other companies, local and national, that you see listed below, they've been super great in stepping up, and we're talking with different organizations all the time to get them on board and see if they want to support the show. So with that, this is the last slide, and I'm going to put a link to this in the chat, this presentation, so you can view it whenever you like. But here's our contact information, Jessica's and mine. This is run through our nonprofit, so all of the money that we raise supports the MWR program out here at base, which is great for not only the current Army and Air Guardsmen and their family, but also all DoD retirees who have the ability to come out to Gowen Field and take part in the events that the MWR runs. So with that, I'll end, and if there's any questions, I'd be certainly happy to take them.
Does anybody have any questions? Well, I was working with the Boise Police Department in 2017, and I was with the special events group there, and there is a lot of work that goes on behind the scenes to bring something like this together, both security, sponsorships, and things. So my hats are off to Lieutenant Colonel Vincelli and Jessica Bate and everybody else participating in this, because it is a lot of work. But when the day comes, it is a lot of fun too. So, Jim, did you have a question? Jim Neal, you're on mute.
Colonel, I'm a member of a nonprofit here in Boise, and it's a national organization. Can I contact you or Jessica to talk about a booth possibly for our group?
Absolutely, Jim. Yeah, I'll give Jessica a call or send her an email, and she can get you on the list and give you the information that you need for sure.
All right, thank you very much.
I'll make sure to get all that information out in the recap that I send out about the meeting. I think that almost everybody on this call is associated with some sort of veterans group in the community, that this would be a very good place to have a booth, have a lot of contact with the public. We're always reaching out to get a hold of our veterans and veteran families, but most of you are nonprofits, and we all know that a lot of that funding comes from donations from the public. And so the more the public can be aware about your organization and what we do and how you're helping veterans, is definitely a bonus. So, okay, anybody else have any questions?
Yeah, I do. This is
Just
Stephanie with Team Rubicon.
Yeah, go ahead, Stephanie.
Hi, Stephanie.
Hi. So we obviously would love a booth, but we also can help with traffic control. So if you want to shoot, or I can email Jessica if that's the right route to take, to see if she needs any extra help with traffic control. We're more than happy to help with that if I can get enough volunteers.
Stephanie, why don't you, as far as the traffic control and anything you can do to help out, send that to me, because that's going to run under the military side. And then anything related to like vendor booths and things like that, Jessica's handling that side of it. So if you want to email me on that and Jessica on the other item, I think we'll both be able to take great care of you.
Okay, great. Thanks.
And do you have a cost on what the cost to get into the air show is going to be for the public?
Free to the public. If they want to order upgraded tickets, those tickets are start at $39 and go up from there, depending on if they want just a shaded bleacher seat or if they want to get into the VIP tents that are catered and all that kind of stuff. But basically, it's free for everybody just to get into the show. That's
wonderful. That's good to hear. Okay, and then do you have any idea how many volunteers overall you're going to be looking for?
So just on the military side, we're going to have about 500 to 600 uniform wearers supporting the show. And then what I think we're going to do as far as volunteers, I think if we can get about 200 or 300 volunteers, but we want to make it so that volunteers will come out and work for maybe 2 or 3 hours, and then enjoy the rest of the day. It's not I think we would run the risk of losing our volunteers after a few hours, especially on a hot August day. So we want to keep it very brief for them, but then give them a shirt thanking them for their support. And then after their volunteer time or before their volunteer time, they can enjoy the rest of the show.
Well, I think that sounds like a pretty good deal. Volunteer, get into the air show for free like everyone else, but you'll have premium parking. You'll get a t-shirt out of the deal and get to help out the community too.
Absolutely.
Okay. Well, thank you very much for joining us. Jessica, did you want to say anything at all? She might not have a microphone, and she is very good at working behind the scenes and getting the business done that needs to be done. Thank you, Lieutenant Colonel. I appreciate you being here.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Okay. I do have some very exciting news. Since COVID, we had gone to the online format exclusively during COVID, and then when we were able to start meeting in person again, the meeting space at the Boise Police Department hadn't reopened to the public, and so I've been moving our meetings around. Oftentimes, like this one, we are just doing it virtually. Other times, I have a location, one of your organizations has hosted the meeting, and then we've had the virtual component to it. But the feedback that I've gotten from everybody is you like to know where the meeting is going to be, figure out your traffic pattern to get there, know where you're going to park, and it wasn't as exciting as I thought it would be to change the location every month. So with that being said, I worked with the Idaho National Guard and Lieutenant Seward and Lieutenant Colonel O'Leary, and also Jessica Bate with the MWR, and they have graciously given us a permanent spot to have our meetings the second Thursday of every month. And so starting in June, we will be having those at Gowen Field. And I will get information out on if you don't have access to the base, how you'll be able to get on for those particular meetings. We'll have a map to get to the building where we're going to have that meeting and things. But once you've been out there, it'll be easy to find, and we'll have a permanent home. And I look forward to the continued close working and relationship that we have with the Idaho National Guard. I think that we've discovered with Idaho Division of Veterans Services and joining forces, it was originally primarily concentrated on just veterans, but we have veterans, we have active duty military here in the Valley, and then we have our guardsmen that have one weekend a month, but now are being deployed on a regular basis. And all of that is interconnecting. And so I'm very excited about the future and that working relationship. My boss, Mark Champel, of course, he is a military dependent. His wife is a lieutenant colonel with the Air National Guard. And so he realizes the importance of us all working together and things. So very excited about that. Let's see here. I'm going to recap some of the upcoming events that are coming up, and if anybody has anything to add, we'll bring that up. This weekend is Ride for 22, suicide awareness for veteran suicide. They will be starting at the Ford Idaho Center over in Nampa. Registration is from 8 to 10, and then kickstands are up at 11. And then they will conclude at Harley Davidson in Meridian. And everyone is encouraged, even if you don't ride, to come out to Harley after 12 o'clock and join in the fun and festivities there. Ride for 22 recognizes those that we have lost to suicide, and works on the prevention that those families or future families don't have to go through that. So coming up April 20th, that is next Thursday, Mission 43 will be having one of their coffee hours, and that is going to be in East Boise at Brood. That is at 3157 Barber Valley Drive, and I'll send out this information. If you haven't been to a Mission 43 coffee hour before, and it's coffee hours because it's running from 9 to 11, but they pay for all the coffee. You walk in, they give you a token, and you can order whatever your pleasure is, and then just visit and associate with others that are there. There are usually probably about 50 to 60 people that show up for something like that. And it runs the gamut from newly departed or newly discharged veterans to our Vietnam veterans and things. So I encourage everybody to come out to that. It's kind of a nice thing to be able to stand around and just talk and visit instead of being in a meeting format like this. Craig, did you have something you wanted to add? Craig Hoyt?
Yeah, I just
Vietnam
wanted to add
veterans?
that if you go to that coffee, it's over in East Boise, and it's a really short drive across the river to see the new field house that's coming along. Good opportunity for that.
Okay. And I'm sure that they'll mention that at the coffee and pointed out Mission 43 is building a large field house for in conjunction with the Challenged Athletes Foundation. And that should be opening up in November. And we look forward to hearing more about that from everyone. Okay, Sunday, April 23rd is the Sweet Ride, and that is sponsored by the POWMIA Corporation. They are raising funds to help with the recovery of soldiers and military members who've not come home. If you've never attended the Sweet Ride before, if you want to ride a motorcycle, it starts in Caldwell at Cruisin' Bikeware, and then they ride to Sweet, Idaho, and meet up at the Triangle Restaurant. So if you don't ride, show up at the Triangle Restaurant after 11. They do a great barbecue there. You can purchase tickets in advance, $10 a piece at Cruisin' Bikeware, or you can show up day of and it would be $15. But the Triangle puts on a great barbecue. There will be guest speakers. I am actually going to be taking part in the formal missing man table. A lot of times at different events, you'll see the missing man table set up. We're actually going to do the entire ceremony, talking about each component of it and things, and I'll be participating in that. So I hope everybody will come out on Sunday, April 23rd for that. Saturday, April 29th, Bravehearts Idaho is going to be having another motorcycle run, and it will start at Harley-Davidson in Meridian, and then it will conclude in Emmett at the city park. And for those of you that aren't familiar with Bravehearts Idaho, I really feel like they're kind of one of my backbone organizations with joining forces. You can go to braveheartsidaho.org for more information. They have a $500 one-time grant that helps with rent, utilities, car payments, car repairs, that sort of thing. Over the years working with them, they've got it's only 3 pages, but quite a detailed application. And if I have veterans that are seeking assistance for anything, even if I don't think that they'll qualify, I usually have them fill out a Bravehearts application because it's so comprehensive with the information. And then I'll send it off to Bravehearts, and Jim Kern over there, he'll do a little bit more investigating, talking to the veteran, finding out exactly what their situation is, making sure that they're looking for a hand up and not a handout. And then I've worked with several of your organizations that if Brave Hearts approves their $500 grant, several of you have matched that. And so generally, if I have a veteran in need, I can come up with about $1,500 within 24 hours and things. So those of you who have been matching that grant, I appreciate that. But as I say, Brave Hearts Idaho is kind of the backbone. I really depend upon them to do some of the additional vetting. And I know that if they're willing to give $500, then I can go and ask the rest of you to pitch in and help. So support them on August 29th. They'll be having the Harley at Harley Davidson, and then their ride to Emmett. It's $20 per rider. And that is if you buy your tickets in advance. Day of, it's $25. The other thing that I will mention on Saturday, the 29th in the evening, I am hosting a Table Rock hike. It'll start at 7 p.m. and start at the Table Rock Trailhead at the old penitentiary. And for those of you that don't know, 2019, I got the crazy idea that I was going to hike Table Rock 100 times, and I did it. And in those 100 times, it kind of became a thing. And many of you joined me on those hikes. And I had posted something this last weekend that I had hiked Table Rock, and a lot of people reached out and said, "Hey, I want to do that with you again. And I haven't done that in 4 years," that sort of thing. And so I just went ahead and scheduled a time, and sunset hikes up Table Rock are a lot of fun. So 7 p.m. on Saturday, April 29th. If you've hiked with me before, you know that I like to stroll up the mountain, enjoy the view, and enjoy the company. So it's not a run or a race or anything like that. And everybody that comes out can just go at their own pace. And hopefully we can all meet up at the top and then wander down before it gets too dark. So I invite everybody to come out for that. Jim Neal, I am going to hand a few minutes over to you. Team River Runner has an exciting jet boat opportunity coming up for veterans.
And thank you, Mitzi. This is Jim Neal from Team River Runner. Thank you. Sorry for the short. We need to know by tomorrow, the 14th. However, Team River Runner is going to sponsor a jet boat ride at Hell's Canyon off of Pittsburgh Landing. And it's really good. It's free for the veterans. It's a dry event, no alcohol requested. But you can fish off the jet boat. I've done it a couple years ago. The boat captain generally puts 2 veterans per boat, and they donate all their time, fuel, everything. If you want a fast, go through the rapids, go up to the dam and back, that's fine. I chose fishing. Our boat caught over 50 bass. There's no limit on bass in the Snake River, so it was a lot of fun. We had a fish fry afterwards on I think it's Saturday evening, and it's a lot of fun. I sent the link, and Mitzi has put out the link to Idaho. It's Christina at Idaho Sunshine 74 at yahoo.com for more details. But it's a limited space. But if you have a chance to or want, the actual event is May 12th through May 14th. And most of the time, I think we provide travel up there. I know I went in the TR van, and Team River Runner is a disabled veteran group that provides disabled veterans to participate in paddling sports, anything from just floating down the river on a kayak or whitewater if you want to go all the way to stream. But give us send us an email and we'll try to get you set up for that.
Sounds good. This is an annual event. I know Marissa went last year and she still talks about it. So I encourage anyone that's available for those dates. Again, it's free to veterans. And Jim, does that include a family member, say a spouse or something?
Yeah, we're trying to be real family friendly, so that's not the one person going up and leaving the family behind. Like I said, it's a limited group number. I'm not sure how many they're going to have this year for that are non-TR event members, but I just got the message and I sent it on to Mitzi as soon as I could. So, and then we go from there.
Okay,
And,
sounds great. Yeah, I did send that out to everybody yesterday, but I'll mention it again. Hopefully I'll get the recap out this afternoon for this meeting. I know I'm not always timely on getting that out. Jake Faulkner, I don't know if you're available to speak, director of our Veterans Cemetery. We are working on Memorial Day. I don't know if you want to say anything about that.
I believe we're still on track. We're meeting the 19th Wednesday, if anybody's interested in attending. Still waiting to hear back from a couple of our supporting members, but I think we're good to go.
Okay, we are very excited to have the new State Command Sergeant Major Alice Randolph is going to be our keynote speaker for Memorial Day. And that will be on Monday, May 29th at 10 a.m. And we'll have more information coming out about that. But definitely the place to be on Memorial Day in the Valley to honor our veterans and loved ones who have passed. Okay, does anybody else before we wind down here have any upcoming events? I know there's lots of things coming up in the summer and into the fall. I've tried to highlight the things that are coming up immediately in April and May. Does anybody else have anything? Mindy.
Hi, good morning, everyone. I just wanted to invite anyone that wants to join us next Thursday at the Meridian Home Depot right off of I-84 for our shed giveaway. We have 10 sheds that will be given away that are going to be built through the construction combine, courtesy of Home Depot, the Association of General Contractors, and then a whole bunch of other people that are supporting. So 3 o'clock is the ceremony where our veterans will come and receive their sheds. I know Mitzi was there with us last year, and we had 3 that went to the Veterans Garden out in Caldwell, and hopefully that's helped you guys throughout the year. But we did select 3 different veteran service organizations this year. We selected Team River Runner, also Hiatus Ranch out in Shoshone, and then the Boise Rescue Mission for the Veterans Wings. So they have a place to put some of their personal belongings that don't necessarily fit in their rooms. And then we have 7 other veterans, military serving, active duty, and guardsmen. So if you'd like to join us, it's open to the public. We'll be in the Home Depot parking lot, and you can't miss us when you drive in, because there will be 10 sheds up and there'll be flagpoles coming off the front of them. So please join us.
That is a really great event. I know the Idaho Veterans Garden received 3 of those sheds last year, and it's really been beneficial to them. I do want to mention Hiatus Ranch. They are out of Shoshone. I've visited out there a couple times. Josh Burnside has a great program going for veterans with PTSD to be able to come and work on the ranch and go through their program. He's got programs from either just a couple days up to 2 weeks, up to a month. I would like to mention to everyone, Josh is very excited to be the recipient of one of those sheds. He does need some help getting the shed from Meridian to Shoshone. He has the ability to offload it when it gets there, but working with Mindy and Josh trying to figure out how we can get that picked up next week and delivered to him. So if anybody has any suggestions or wants to make a trip to Shoshone to see Hiatus Ranch, then please reach out to me. Last person, Yvonne Perez. Did you have something you wanted to add? Yes, no. Yvonne is with American Legion Post 127 over in Eagle, and they always have a lot going on. I do want to thank them also for their assistance with the Vietnam Veterans Recognition Day that we had over in Meridian on March 29th. They helped with all of the hot dogs, and we had to change the event just a little bit because of the weather, but we still had about 450 people in attendance, and that is slightly, a little more than slightly than the capacity of the building that we had the event in, but everybody enjoyed themselves, and we look forward to doing it again next year. So
Hey,
I am
Nancy, I think
yeah.
I think Yvonne, she put it in the chat, but I think she wanted everybody to know that they're having Appreciation Day on the 29th of April at Merrill Park from 5:30 to 8 p.m. Families are welcome, and they're going to have hot dogs and have everybody gather there. So it's in the
Perfect.
chat. I think that's what she wanted to talk to everybody about.
Okay, sounds good. And I've got that on my calendar too. There is enough time to go to the Bravehearts ride that morning, have lunch in Emmett, then show up at Merrill Park 5 o'clock, enjoy the Veterans Appreciation, and then head over to Table Rock and do an evening hike. So block out April 29th for veterans events because there's lots going on and lots to do. So, okay, we will call this a wrap for April. Next month, we are working on having our meeting on the VA campus. It'll be hosted by the Boise VA Medical Center. I'm just firming up all those details, but I'll get that information out to you. And then beginning in June, all of our meetings will be at Gowen Field, and we'll have a regular home moving forward for joining forces. So thank you everyone for attending today, and go out and help our veterans, and I look forward to working with you.
Nice job, Mitzi.